Okay, we're recording. Welcome back. Have just talked about everything that's happening. So I've got some notes. I'm going to muscle test. For some reason, I didn't put on Do Not Disturb. All right. So it's safe and appropriate for me to be the surrogate for Heather. It's safe and appropriate for Heather to have me. So the thing we need to work on today is more chakra balancing and healing. I'm getting weak on that. So something about hormones, no. New boundaries with mom. Okay, so we've got that strong. The most appropriate approach is to unpack anger, and that's weak. Okay, so that's some stuff we talked, for everybody watching, we just talked about a lot, lots of different ways that Heather's relationship dynamic with her mom is kind of plugged into different wounds. Everybody's different wounds, right, are triggered by everybody's different things in different ways. And so that, that's just some conscious information that she's going to continue to unpack and noticing those connections, right? When this triggers this, okay, what is that triggering in me? And when I'm, when I notice that I'm triggering you, what is that, triggering in you? What wounds is it triggering in our loved ones? That really helps us create new boundaries, explain to the person why we need to create new boundaries, right? Like every time, I'm going through this thing, but I see it's triggering that fear you have about blank or whatever, and it will often anger our loved one when we, can put our finger right on what's being triggered in the relationship, but it makes them start to think, and it makes them become more aware of like, oh yeah, every time she does that thing, I feel that way, that it reminds me of that time when I was 4, when my mother abandoned me, or whatever the thing is that we're triggering in that other person. So we're not going to work on that at the subconscious level. It's definitely, for you, is in the conscious. It's come out of your subconscious and the work that we've been doing, right? So now you're conscious of it, and unfortunately sometimes our job is to make our loved ones conscious of some of the things, some of those subconscious patterns that we have been participating with each other. Okay, so let me ask, the most appropriate approach for today is to work on building the appreciation foundation of unconditional love. Okay, so that's just something we talked about with Heather being lucky that her mom has been a good model for unconditional love. With all of our parents' faults, right? There's usually something that that they were able to give us or show us that, and so that's weak. So we're not going to necessarily work on that, but kind of how to work with that consciously and use that as a way to shift from anger to appreciation in your relationship with your mom. Is just building on that foundation that she at least has been a good example of unconditional love. And, unfortunately what happens with some folks that are really good at unconditional love is that they become imbalanced and become kind of, taken advantage of, or other issues that those folks have. So it's just more information and something to work with. All right, so I don't have anything else on my paper. Let me just ask, the most appropriate approach for Heather's highest and best good is to do energy psychology balances on statements around this issue. Okay, so that's weak. So we are still working on new boundaries with mom. Okay, so chakra balancing is the way to work on these new boundaries, and that's still a no. So corridor. Okay, so I think we're gonna do just like a corridor. There's so many different names I've called this process, but where we go and we find whatever wounded piece of you that's getting triggered in this, that's stopping you from creating these new boundaries with your mom.
Okay.
That makes sense. So for those watching along, most of us have parts of ourselves, fragments of ourselves. Some people call it like a piece of your soul that's splintered off. that during a trauma or some kind of wound, usually in childhood or, in the past, and those wounded pieces of ourselves will stop us from, our highest and best potential.
Mm-hmm.
Right, because they are afraid or they are wounded in some way and they don't feel that it's safe to go with whatever you consciously, are trying to create, right? You're trying to create really healthy boundaries and relationships with everybody in your life, right? And for a
Mm-hmm.
while, you've been working on all these different categories, right? Like the husband partner category, right? You've been working on having new boundaries with that category of person. And so now it's just time to work on the mom category. And, for those watching along, it isn't necessarily our bio mom. There could be an aunt or some other mother figure that has these, and even for some people, like if your dad was more nurturing than your mom, then sometimes your dad is in that mom place and you have to, work on boundaries. So it's and I don't know if we've recorded us doing this before, but we've done it before in Sacred Circle. So
I think one of the first ones that we recorded was the corridor balance, because I had a hard time walking through the door.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay. All right. So we're going to go into, it might be the same door, it might be a different door. We don't know what we're going to get, but we're just going to go and we're setting the intention to find, the first piece of yourself. There might be more than one that we need to work with and heal in order to, even know what these new boundaries should look like, right? That's part of our challenge. For a lot of us is we're so used to, unhealthy relationships and codependent relationships that we don't know what healthy interdependence looks like. A lot of us have really just unplugged and said, okay, I'm just going to do it all alone because I can't trust other people, and connecting with other people is just not safe, and they're all toxic. So, why do I even try? So a lot of us are in that place right now where we have just said, okay, I'm just going to do it all myself.
Baby, I'm in the middle of a session right now and the door is blocked.
So we're gonna clear away whatever we encounter that is in the way of you even being able to, conceive of what does a healthy relationship look like with my mom and, anybody else that might kind of fit that same category in your life.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I was saying before, most of us are kind of flying blind on that category because we haven't had examples of healthy relationships in our lives. So you can close your eyes and we'll just go inward and see what we can see about what needs to be healed in order to conceive of and create new, healthier boundaries. So the first thing we're just going to do is ask the light of divine love to create a bubble of protection around us as we do this work, so that only the highest vibrational energies, ideas, thoughts, and beliefs are able to remain. So, and what that means when we create this bubble of protection is sometimes those lower vibrational energies really make themselves known because we have intended for that divine light to come through a little more strongly than usual. So just notice what you notice about your body, about your thoughts, about any sort of negativity that might come up as we just take a few breaths to really breathe in that divine energy of unconditional love and let anything that is not of the light just kind of rise to the surface for our attention. So what do you notice right now, just as we begin this process, Heather?
I think the only thing that's come to me so far is a feeling of needing to be more intentional about protecting myself from her energy. And
Awesome.
And kind of understanding, letting her have her experience
Mm-hmm.
of, her perceptions of the reality that create the thoughts and feelings that she has, and allowing her to experience that without, I need to be more intentional about creating that protective space for her to have that experience without it triggering me, because it is separate from me, right? It's from her wounds.
Right. And also, the people that we're closest to have a really uncanny way of their wounds trigger our wounds, and our wounds trigger their wounds, and we do this, kind of back and forth thing. So
Right.
it is true. So that's part of this work, is like even
Right.
becoming aware of, okay, that's her stuff, she's getting triggered about da 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 da, but and then noticing, how is that triggering me? And so then I can work on, what wounds is.
Yeah, and I think we actually mentioned it before we started recording, that I think the trigger that it was setting off in me more than it normally does recently is because I was harboring some judgment over the current situation that I'm in for myself. And so I kind of had that shift today.
Yeah. So we've identified that. Okay, yeah. So keep going. So now this taking this time to create this protective bubble, which is a practice that I highly recommend we all do, anytime we think of it. But daily is a really good thing, and it's a good thing to do. You can create one around your home, around your car, around your children, and fill it with, whatever color light feels good in that moment. But with the intention that it's the highest vibrational, light of unconditional love that is possible. And so as we do that, then we become more aware. So what else is coming up? Allowing others to have their experiences is a huge piece of this. So let's go underneath and just with your awareness, go from, bring your awareness from that kind of area around you, and how we've created a bubble of protection around your aura. And just go inward and just notice what you notice about how allowing others to have their experiences is not safe, maybe, or how that feels.
Yeah. It's difficult for me to do with her sometimes, because my inner child, and through my whole life, it's that wound of not having had her as a mother figure, not having seen her with that respect or that reverence, not having had that kind of connection and bond with her.
You had to fulfill that for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So there's resentment about that, probably a little bit. Let's go inward. Let's go into the corridor and try to find the piece of yourself, the first piece of yourself that we need to work with today. Because there might be multiple ones, and that's okay. But just go inward, inward, inward into your heart space. And in our heart space, there's a portal to the infinite. And on your way out into the infinite, there's a corridor with many doors. And just walk along and try to find the one that we need to go in today, to find that piece of yourself that is still so attached and entangled with your mom's experiences, and trying to manage that, trying to stay centered in your own knowing, your own inner guidance, even when her fears are trying to pull you off center. So have you found a door that looks like the right one?
Yes.
So we're just going to go ahead and again evoke the divine spirit within, knowing that We're safe as we walk through this door. So just let me know when you're able to open it and walk in.
Okay.
So what do you see, hear, feel, experience as you go through the door?
It's just like a white room.
Okay. Is there anybody else there?
No, it's just us.
Okay. So I just want to invite Heather's higher self to join us in the room, and just allow your higher self to kind of make herself known or himself known or itself known, whatever, however you see it. It might have a gender and it might not.
Okay. I kind of sense there's another presence in the room now.
Okay. And so is it your higher self or is it the wounded piece of yourself?
It's my higher self.
Okay. And so we're just going to ask our higher self to help coax the wounded piece of Heather, the wounded part of yourself. And her name might not be Heather. She might have another name or identity, might be a masculine, might be a gender neutral part of yourself. So just you can kind of take hands with your higher self. You and I are holding hands, and we're just going to speak to this room and say it's safe to come out. It's safe. You don't have to reintegrate with Heather's core soul today if you don't want to.
Oh man, she's scared.
Yeah, totally scared. And it's safe now. So you can just tell her. You can say it out loud or you can just say it in your mind. Just let her know it's safe. We just want to talk.
When I tell her that this is a space of love, that is emotional for her.
So let her feel that emotion. Just let her let it out. And she might let you, hold her and comfort her, and she might not. And so just like you would with, a scared, wounded child or animal, we're just going to go really slow and really lovingly invite her to share and release her feelings and her fears about this whole scenario.
A memory just came up of something of a time when my mom was a protector for me.
Awesome.
Actually, in confronting my father about the sexual abuse and molestation when I was very young. I was maybe 3
Right on.
at the time that this happened, and this was after he had had me accusing her of doing it, actually.
Wow.
I had forgotten about that.
Yes. Okay. So that's part of this foundation of unconditional love that we're building on, right? That she has been a protector in some ways, in whatever way she was capable.
Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. So I'm saying awesome about the recovered memories and not about what happened to you. And I know you know,
think
but I'm saying that for everybody watching because
I feel like I always felt like I was the one who had to be the adult to kind of keep her and my dad on an even keel.
And is that how this piece of yourself is feeling?
Yeah, like she feels responsible for my mom's emotions about things because she's kind of taken it on herself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
To keep that balance.
Yep. And thank her for that. So now's a good time to say, thank you for helping me through that experience as a child, she took on way more than she should have had to.
And it really did help the dynamic between them. It was a huge role.
And so even though that pattern now is not something helpful that you want to continue, it was in the past very helpful and instrumental for these two people in your life. You know, and for yourself too, right? Keeping the peace.
Yeah.
How does she react when you give her that, you know, all those kudos that she needs, that she deserves?
It feels good, but I also felt compelled to let her know that while it was helpful, it shouldn't have been on her shoulders.
Right. It was
That
too
that it's okay to let that go now, that's not something,
awesome.
you know, and kind of the flickering kind of ideas of, you know, what that kind of should have looked like for her to kind of reparent her through that a little bit.
Yes, that's what we're doing in this room, is reparenting her through that. She did not deserve to have to take that on. And so now it is safe to let it go. How does she react when you tell her that it's safe to put it down, that that burden never should have been hers in the first place, and it's okay now to release it?
She seems relieved but unsure.
Yeah. So let's reassure her. And your higher self can help with that.
Yeah, she seems relieved, and she is kind of almost in awe of the way that it could have, or, you know, should have been, at the idea of the way that that should have worked. You know, what that love, what that
Right.
parental relationship is supposed to look like, because
Yes.
it's never been seen or experienced before.
Yes. That awe is that feeling of like, oh, wow, this is what a healthy relationship looks like. Yes. So is she ready to reintegrate, or is there still some reservation?
No, I think she's ready.
Okay, so you can invite her to reintegrate back into your core being, your core soul.
Yeah, she was very ready and willing.
Yay! So celebrate that. Let's just like dance around with that little girl. Does she have a name that's different in any way, or is she just
No, I'm not getting any names.
So we're just going to dance around for a minute and celebrate with her and celebrate the relief of putting down that burden. And knowing that this vision of what this healthy relationship can look like is still going to continue to form. It's going to continue, you're going to continue together to flesh it out. How do you feel now about allowing your mom to just like be in all her fears about whatever's going to happen? And
Well, I actually just started thinking about my daughter.
okay.
and how much my younger self can help me to see the way that that relationship should look with my daughter.
Right on. Yes, and that's part of creating the new relationship with your mom is you can create the blueprint with your daughter. Wow, that is really I never thought of it that way as much, but it's an intergenerational way of healing, right? I mean, our us parenting in a different way than the way we were parented helps our parents heal and helps our relationship with our parents heal.
Yeah.
If we can go there and, work with all those things that come up.
Yeah.
So I just want to declare that we are cutting all of these unhealthy attachments. Your assignment is canceled. All of those lower vibrational patterns and thoughts and, for lack of a better word, entities that have been keeping you stuck in that patterning, their assignment is canceled. And I want just to take a few minutes to let Divine Spirit is going to help you breathe away those negative vibrations. Anything residual that's left that we can just send out into you can use the aura point down in your womb space, but if you breathe it out a different way, that's fine too. Just visualize it going out into the cosmos for transmutation. So we're breaking those karmic patterns. This is not just about, our parents and our kids and creating a new pattern in our single family line. It's about creating a new blueprint for humanity. Each time one of us does this work where we release and we flush it out into the universal commode, all of those negative patterns that were holding us in those unhealthy relationships, those unhealthy toxic patterns. We heal it for lots of folks on the planet. And so sometimes that's why it feels really intense as we release it. How do you feel now?
Good. I feel much lighter about the situation. I feel like I have a better handle on it.
Yeah. You feel some clarity about maybe how you're going to approach this relationship differently.
Yeah.
Say for everybody watching along, as we unplug from the old toxic patterns and we start behaving in different ways and, interacting with our same old people in new ways, often our loved ones aren't happy about it. And they can, their fears kind of get triggered maybe a little bit more at first. And so that's a normal part of the process.
Yeah.
And it's something that, it just helps us really identify where are we still plugged in an unhealthy way. Right. And so, it's just information. If they pitch a fit, because we're no longer participating in the toxic patterns anymore, it's first of all, just good to be aware that might happen, so that you can recognize it sooner, and just kind of take a few breaths, take a few moments, take a few days, whatever you need to take, to like sort through like, okay, what if this is theirs to deal with and what if it is mine to deal with, right? Because of course, when they pitch their fit, we're going to get triggered about something.
Yeah, and actually, I guess that's another celebration because when she was like, I had gotten triggered and I was like, what the fuck, seriously? And she was like, you can't talk to me that way, that hurts me. And I was just like, okay. I didn't even respond. I was like, I obviously need some time to get to the bottom of what this is because I'm not ready to talk to you about this yet.
And Heather is definitely in that place in all your relationships. It seems like you're really seeing, and stopping when somebody starts behaving with big emotions. That's when we got to stop and say, whoa, okay, wait a minute. This isn't like today. at our house, it was like, this isn't about the bacon, you know. My kids were fighting over who was going to have more bacon, you know, or whatever. And you know, but it became this whole big thing with, you know, almost everybody in the house. And so, yeah, it's not about the bacon. It's not about, you know, the speeding ticket or the, you know, the whatever in the 3D reality that we think it's about, that we're, you know, getting triggered over. And so that's like the hugest step, just to celebrate, right, that we're able to pause and say, wait a minute, okay, I'm getting triggered by this, and I got to see what my part of it is,
right,
and then also allowing them to have their experience,
right,
you know. And it's tough sometimes to watch our loved ones be, you know, really triggered, and to the point too where their vibration is affecting us, you know.
that's my issue, because to be honest with you, I've disconnected enough that if she's having her trigger, I'm like, whatever. But it's just the things that are also, it's when she's stressing out, the stuff that's stressing me out in my life. Like, just stop it.
Yeah, and it just a lot of times it just takes that recentering of like, okay, I'm gonna get clear on my inner voice and what I need to be doing, you know. And then you'll get clear on, oh yeah, I need to release that little resentment, or I need to release that, you know.
Yeah.
All just information.
Yep. Yeah.
So good work today. Let's just take a minute and just invite the energy of unconditional love to come in and heal whatever wounds we uncovered today, that, you know, we began a healing process, right? For that part of yourself that was in that white room. And she is now, you know, come out of her hiding place, and she's now ready to continue the healing process with you. So just say out loud, I accept the healing of unconditional love.
I accept the healing of unconditional love.
I allow it to do its work in my being.
I allow it to do its work in my being.
Knowing that we'll continue to open to receive whatever spontaneous healing that you know, you have those moments. You know, we talked before we pressed record about, you know, the different moments that we have as we have these realizations, and we're like, oh yeah, I can release that. And then more, you know, then we can allow it. And as we light into our being, then it can just continue to help us heal and help those around us heal, even though sometimes they're not quite excited about that process.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, it sometimes it's just the discomfort has to come up first, so that we can even notice what we got to work with.
Yeah. Yeah.
For today's sister.
Yay.
All right.
Gosh,
so
there's been a lot of shifts recently that have been really good. So
yes. And you know, so many of the things that we've been talking about today I'm seeing with so many other people, that I just know that, you know, humanity is moving in the right direction, right? We're all unplugging from those unhealthy, a lot of us right now are unplugging from those unhealthy patterns, and trying to figure out, what do the healthy patterns even look like? I want to create this new blueprint, you know, in my microcosm of relationships, and that reverberates out into the world as we do it in our personal lives. It has an effect on, you know, sometimes we don't know how many people it has an effect on, right?
yeah. Yeah.
So thanks everybody for watching. I'm gonna sign off now. We'll see y'all next time.